I made a sci-fi thriller movie called Identiteaze, Identiteaze, that stars John Delancey, who many people know as Q from Star Trek The Next Generation, has Abigail Thorne, who many people know as Philosophy Tube here on YouTube, but also is in Star Wars The Acolyte and now House of the Dragon, we know.
What?
Yeah, she's in House of the Dragon this year.
Yeah. Did you not see her in The Acolyte? Or are you watching The Acolyte?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
I saw the trailer for it.
I only watched it because I was told it was the gayest Star Wars of all time.
There's a lesbian coven. There's a lesbian coven in the third episode.
But like, is that the bar? Because like the first episode, there's like
the bar is
a
pretty low
male
for Star
presenting
Wars.
shirtless guy, and someone tells him to put the shirt on. I was like, was that gay? Was that the gay scene? Did I just see it?
Was that the gay? Was that?
Yeah. I saw the gay. Oh,
maybe they cut all the gay shit.
No, there's in the third episode. There's a lesbian coven that Abigail's a part of, like a lesbian witch coven that hates the Jedi.
Oh my god,
yeah.
I'm so out of the loop. I'm a bad gay.
I'm more excited for House of Dragon. I want to see. I'm looking forward to the next season.
Yeah, I'm very pumped for that. It should be very fun. I actually, it was interesting because I've actually had a hold that I knew that she was in House of the Dragon for forever because we had originally a filming date for the movie, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I can't be there." So we were gonna green screen her in because she was doing House of the Dragon. So I'm like, I understand House of the Dragon wins, but I've known about it for a while because I had to we scheduled around that.
Wow. So okay, you've got Abigail Thorne.
Yes.
Who else do you have?
Maggie Mae Fish, who's also in it. She's one of the leads. Who also is another wonderful video essayist. Jessica Nicole, who many people know from Fringe. She played Astrid in Fringe years ago.
Wow.
James Tyson, who is he's gay comedian. Jackie Cox, who many people Darius Rose is his acting name, but Jackie Cox is her drag name. Many people know her from RuPaul's Drag Race. Is in it, playing kind of the villain. I don't want to spoil too much. Who else is it? And then there's another character played by Ezra Reeves, who I don't want to spoil too much about their character, but they're a non-binary actor who has a kind of a surprise role. So,
damn, Jesse, how can we watch this when it comes out? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be on Nebula. So the quick pitch of it is that it's going to be on Nebula. It's going to release on June 25th. We're having a premiere June 24th in LA. And the other thing of it is that this is technically, it's a 45-minute piece, and it's technically a pilot for a show. It tells its own whole story, so if you watch it, you'll feel like, okay, it's telling its own whole thing. But there is some after-credit stuff and some other teases throughout that if it does well enough, we're hoping to get financing at Nebula to be able to tell more with the story. And the basic idea of the film is that it's a science fiction thriller, and without going too much in the story, two people wake up in a empty white room and have no visible ways out, and they have no memory of who they are, and they have to figure out what's going on, what's the world, what's the context, who they even are from there. But the actual film itself, again, with just sort of overall stuff, is just talking about how the corporatization of our identity today, and how, we live in a world that tries to sell us our identity, sell us like who we have to be. You have to want this thing, and we're all sort of given signifiers of who we're supposed to be. And, sort of the radical act that you can do is trying to figure out who you actually are in a world that doesn't really give you any tools for that journey and only tells you what you should be. So obviously very like queer, trans vibe, the whole thing. But hopefully it's fun and people enjoy it, and it's got some horror vibes to it, but it does ultimately have a kind of a happy-ish ending. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Can we watch the trailer?
Yeah, if you want to.
There's a trailer. I want to see it.
Oh, there's a trailer. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Can I share it?
Close my blinds because my sunlight is.
How do I share?
Put in the private chat, and I'll link to it, or I'll show it.
And actually, I'll while I'm getting the trailer too, one thing we did, you'll see in the trailer here, we made a kind of fun ARG game for it. There's a little tease starting for the ARG that like you can find sort of hidden messages and like meetings and stuff for the evil corporation that the company in the movie is about.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Yeah, it was very fun to make all of those.
Yeah, I bet.
And also that's the second one I just shared there is the website for the evil company.
I'll bring this up.
But yeah, no, it's really fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm excited to finally be able to tell people about it and like talk about it, because it's been something I've had to keep, like, we've known it's been coming up and I haven't been able to like talk about what it's like for a while.
Mm.
There's a sound in your mind, heard only in the silence between heartbeats. It's chaotic, unruled. Isolated, it tricks you into thinking it's a full song.
Who are you?
But in truth, you're just an instrument. Waiting for a conductor to teach you the actual melody.
Well, where is he?
As far as you're concerned, there's only one of you.
Perfect. Stronger. Always on time. I don't often see glitches in my system. I built this world too well. So I take notice when they do happen. And I don't like glitches.
Yay! So yeah,
That's
John
so
Delancey being
cool.
menacing.
That was really good. Really
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Oh
try.
my
Thanks.
gosh.
Yeah, no, when I got John
Very
Delancey,
cool.
so that VO you were hearing, we did in like a VO booth, and we wrote that monologue for him. And it does appear in the film itself. We wrote that for like the trailer stuff. And he did it, and it was terrifying. The man is like the sweetest man in real life. Like, he was super kind, super amazing the entire time. And then we like have him play the character, and it's like, oh my God, you're the most terrifying person I've ever seen in my life. So he is
I could see
absolutely
that.
great. Yeah. He was also
cool to
super
see
nice.
Maggie Mayfish too. She looks great.
Yeah, Maggie is one of the leads in the film, and she was the absolute coolest to work with. Like, she's super sweet, but I also love her acting. It's not in this film, but she does such a great job playing. Well, the character she has just plays anxiety and has the sense of like she wants to explode and like just like release all this energy on people, and she plays that like that really well throughout the film, and it makes me, I want to one day make a film where she just gets to play the most bombastic, over the top villain, like the most like camp, like weird villain that you could ever do, because she would kill it so much, because she just has that like explosion energy that I really love.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm really excited about that, actually.
Yeah, thank you. I like I said, it's been kind of a dream. Like, it's been weird because y'all know I'm a huge Trekkie, and so to get like John Delancey to work on it, him being so kind, getting so many people to work on it, and also something too that I was really proud of. Just to like say, you know, I've been talking about the film itself, but we worked with the crew was all mainly queer, non-binary, trans, LGBTQ folks and women. We've got there's a group in Los Angeles called Women in Film, and they have a sort of accreditation that is if you have over 50% women and non-binary people working on the film, which we got, which is something that we're really proud of. And that doesn't even count like trans folks or like trans men and queer folks. So like the cast and crew is all like, outside of John Delancey is the only cis white dude in the whole cast, and he's playing a villain. So I feel like that fits. So straight white dude, I should say. And
sounds woke, Jesse. Did you get
it's very woke.
It?
Super woke. But yeah, no. So it was just the whole thing for me is that making the film, I wanted to make sure we reflected like the world that we wanted to make behind the film, and rather than it being just like, oh, we're going to tell this really queer story, but still kind of rebuild this sort of Hollywood machine behind the scenes. So, you know, that was something that was really important to me to do on the film, and I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of the whole crew. So I'm pumped, and I hope we get to tell more. So
hell yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I wouldn't know where to begin if I were to make a movie. I'm not creative, so good on you. That's fucking badass.
You did just write a book, though. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty creative.
But I mean, like, that's not me being creative. That's just me like finding out stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to make something up in my head, it would be so boring. I'm not very creative.
I mean, a lot of like fun, like I always feel good sci-fi is when you take actual history and actual like real world stuff, and then sort of try and find a way to allegoricize it or sort of place it into a context that feels new. It's why I really loved like a show like Star Wars Andor, which was such a show you could tell that Tony Gilroy, who was the showrunner of that show, had done a lot of research into like the Russian Revolution and like different like revolutionary groups fighting imperialism. Like he really pulled from like a lot of real history to make that show, as opposed to like a lot of science fiction that I feel today that I feel like people get frustrated at and find very shallow, is because a lot of those people who write that science fiction are writing like as fans of science fiction, of other science fiction. And so they kind of reference other sci-fi, and it kind of just dilutes what the actual like meaning of it is. I mean, if I'm going to go to Star Wars, like George Lucas has his issues with understanding some of history, but when he wrote Star Wars, he was pulling from like, we're going to look at like empire and imperialism and
Vietnam War, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, actual history. And then you look at like the Star Wars sequels today, they're written by people who are fans of Star Wars, so they just reference Star Wars instead of actual history, and so it feels shallow because it's not actually pulling from like meaningful history. So I always like go back to good science fiction being like, we're trying to pull from these things. And for this film, sorry, I'm ranting because I've been talking want to talk about.
No, this is interesting.
What I based on, and you'll find out with John Delancey's character especially, but other characters have influence as well. But John Delancey's character was specifically influenced by first off Mark Zuckerberg style of a person, like a tech CEO, but also looking at company towns throughout history, and I think particularly Milton Hershey, who had built like a bunch of company towns in Pennsylvania, first famously Hersheytown, and was a big strike breaker as well, and was like forcing a lot of his workers to like, you get paid in Hershey money and you have to buy stuff from the company store. So like it was just trying to build this like utopian idea, but in a very capitalist sort of way. And so I pulled a lot from Milton Hershey a lot for his character, as well as like mixing with like tech bro terminology. And a lot of the film sort of is looking at this sort of capitalist, but almost so eugenics idea that is sort of baked into a lot of our sort of our world today, that through sort of corporatization of everything, and then adding like a tech bro mindset to it. So like, what if Elon Musk got to have his own company town sort of thing? So.
Oh, that's a horrifying thought.
Yeah, right.
I don't think we're that far off. Yeah.
No,
we're
it's
not too far off from that.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'd be very worried for the women and the trans
oh my
people.
God. Yes.
And the black people, and basically anyone who's
everybody.
not like, anybody
who works for him.
yeah. So that's what I like sci-fi for. So it's horrifying to think about. So hopefully my film doesn't become predictive. But I do want to like the ultimate point of it being, again, trying not to spoil too much, is what I want to say is that the best path forward through all of that stuff, and sort of the big thing we're fighting today, is to understand that fighting for being yourself and being who you are, sans what people try to dictate to you, and I was very important that the film sort of says that it's the start of a really revolutionary act. One of the big things too that I also want to always be like, it's a revolutionary act to find yourself, but it is the beginning of being able to like build solidarity and pushing back against these systems of power. Like, you have to start from there, but you have to be able to connect with others and find others and build something even more as you sort of create those fights. So the whole film is about like, how do you start that process of realizing that you're basically building that consciousness of what it's like to sort of build a larger movement against systems of power. So it's a little woke again.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Little woke.